weirdly new age spiritual type readings can actually be really useful reflective tools for your situation. I don't know what the psychological effect is called, but it's works on the same mechanisms, spiritual or physical, as like recognizing patterns or images in clouds and inanimate objects. So, for example, Picasso used fire and puddles and mud and like cracks in the wall to build imagery for his painting, kind of seeing things within the things. And I think pattern recognition is key. And with like readings or tarot or similar type things, you do pick up some form of like internal markers or internal memories or data points that you might not have realized are actually there yet. The tarot cards don't actually have to be necessarily right, but there's like a deep sense of reflection that's involved, and the empty space that you're kind of like moving within when you're getting a tarot reading is like filling in gaps in your brain, and the reading kind of enables your brain to go into this state where you're like not brooding but very like reflective, contemplative. Yeah, it's very useful, at least for me. But like with all of this, it does come down to a matter of discernment again. Like, you could be watching a million tarot readings and just getting the wrong message if you're not approaching it with the right spiritual or physical mindset. And it's best not to really expect anything. You really got to evaluate all your angles, all the patterns, pathways forward. For a minute there, just play like a fool. Just, be a jester. There's a mad benefit to just staying kind of completely out of the way from everything. People will just see you as naive or a joke or a baby. But that's just rolling with those punches, and you've just got to absorb, bide your time. It's kind of top tier. At the start you don't really know anything. You don't know shit in the non-physical or spiritual worlds. Like it's something that's been just like necessarily hidden from a huge portion of the world and to humanity or people or yourself. That's just the nature of it. And with this kind of thing, if you just go too hard, you will just end up with a diagnosis or some sort of meds to your name, if not some sort of like police intervention if you really lose your head. Medication is not actually necessarily a bad call, but unless you found yourself in like a complete uncontrollable psychotic space, it's probably best to avoid taking fucking antipsychotics and SSRIs and all that. Sleep can be a real troubled thing, but you don't necessarily need meds to help with that. But I don't know, these conditions, when you're in something like this for so long, you do start to think these sorts of things extend kind of beyond physical diagnosis of like a brain thing, and do move like further into like some sort of metaphysical kind of thought patterns. Yeah, with sleep it might get really difficult, to be honest. You might not be able to sleep at night, or if you've soaked in a fair bit of dark or negative energy, it's just, that shit will play around in your head without you really having any control over it until you've reached some sort of level of self-mastery. It does like induce some form of trauma response. There's certain like psychiatrists you can listen to, or like things you can do or things that have been proven to like actually take traumatic experiences and just boost your abilities instead of keeping you in this kind of crippled state. That doesn't mean that you can't like get out of it if you're in it, because sometimes, you know, if you've got actual PTSD, that's just a massive challenge to overcome, and you've really got to have like a purpose for like why you're here and why you're bettering the world. You know, why are you here? What is your element of the trade? Is it like art, you know, maths, philosophy, building, architecture? I think you've got to have some like message or thing that you're doing or sending out to like a collective consciousness, especially because right now it's like, as you know, it's a dark world, and I feel like people are in this for some reason or another, and there is like a severe lack of collectivism, and it's kind of counterintuitive because if you're in this position, which is like a cursed position but also a privileged space, you're inherently isolated, but you know, you're doing it for a collective good. Yeah, with the dark energy, if it is some form of, you know, demon or demonic force in nature, that's something you can have purpose against. I don't necessarily know if it's our job to bring people closer to God, but I think the closer you personally get to God, the more you kind of remain benevolent yourself, which, after being amongst this kind of demonic wildlife, ethereal, non-physical kind of training shit, it can really be easy to just completely go the other way and succumb to becoming really dark and sinister yourself. And that's the biggest battle, to be honest. Solitude is actually a good thing. You know, it can be bad to isolate yourself, and you know, you don't really want to cut everything from your life or everyone, but sometimes it is like a very beneficial thing to like just exist in solitude for a bit and process. It depends how much interaction you have, you know, outside of home life or at work or whatever. Yeah, I think next time I'll talk about chaos magic versus pathway magic. See ya.